Good evening, everyone. I would thanks for coming to this summit, and I would thank all the panel members, all very established people in the industry, people who have seen things, who have seen trends emerge over the last many years. We have retailers who are more than 100 years old sitting with us, and I'm sure there would be a lot to learn for each one of you, and we want to do things a little bit differently this time. In the last 10-15 minutes, we would leave the field open for some questions, because the panel largely agrees that there is a lot they can share with you, but there are those specific questions which need to be answered, and they have happily agreed that they would do their best to answer all your queries. Now I would leave the field open. I'm sure they are very eminent people in their fields, and they have a lot of introduction of themselves which can be given. But I think let's dive straight into the topic. Let's get into the discussion, and I would encourage any one of the members to start with the topic in terms of how do you think the trends have emerged in the recent past, especially after COVID, and where do you see these trends going? How much is technology disrupting the field? What do you see in the next 5 years to be the biggest trends which will emerge? Uh, Please.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Good evening. My name is Rochita, and I'm representing Sreeleathers Ltd today. We are a brand based out of Calcutta. I wouldn't even say trend, but a movement that has already begun is the fact that the masses have regained the power.
Can I request people in the backstage to be a little bit silent? Excuse me, can we be a little bit silent?
Like I was saying, the masses have regained the power. It's no longer brand communication that's taking charge. It's what people think, thanks to social media or access to communication that the masses have. This is the new thing that I'm seeing. Like, I know we may not like the boycott culture or the cancel culture, but I think it's here to stay. Especially when we look at the newest generation that has joined the workforce, the Gen Zs. They're extremely perceptive, they're very sensitive to society, and they're very conscious about their consumption and the impact it has on the environment. So, going forward, I think for my organization, we have started encouraging executives to not make decisions based out of a boardroom. Decision making has to be a lot more insightful. And for that, we have encouraged executives to go out, communicate with customers, either directly or through social media or through surveys and testimonies. This is the only way forward, not just to make insightful decisions, but sometimes as executives making decisions in the boardroom, we tend to get a little bit close minded and we lose sight of what is most important. And the most important fact is that at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is you remain answerable to your customers. So I think even though it's not a trend, I think this is a movement that has already begun. It's only going to gain momentum in the upcoming 5 years as well.
Thanks, Rochita. Mayank ji, customer experience, like Rochita mentioned, customer is the centerpiece of everything we do. Where do you think customer experience matters for your business? A traditional ethnic wear business which has been running since decades. Where do you see customer has evolved? What are the expectations of the customers, and how are you able to meet?
It's a very good point. And Ruchita, what you mentioned right now, to your point, I just got a dressing down a couple of months back from one of my young cousins who's a Gen Z, as you said. कह रहे हैं कि क्या कर रहे हो आप वही पुराने पुराने कुर्ते बेचे जा रहे हो वही फिट है वही सब कुछ है what are you doing like they referred me to a brand you might have heard called Shukla sarees in Mumbai. So so I just started looking at the brand, what they're doing. So they've made sarees completely, very cool and aspirational for the Gen Z and for the millennials. So, what we have started doing after that dressing down, which I got, which I'm very glad I did. So, we have started moving. One of the trends that has happened especially after COVID, is the trend from fast fashion to slow fashion. So, now the Gen Z millennials are expecting us to make a collection which is primarily using sustainable fabrics, which has a low carbon footprint, as low as possible. So we have actually just started developing a team We've hired a couple of people for it already, which, you know, not only the fabrics would be sustainable, but even the, you know, the embroideries that we use, the material that goes inside it would have as low carbon, you know, footprint as possible. Even the packaging that we're using would be largely, it would be what can be recycled. So, you know, we're trying to like now connect with that also, because obviously being India's oldest retailers and having a 141 years, we already have the, you know, customers who've been coming to us for generations, and they're very loyal. They are coming, and you know, that part is there. But to connect with the newer audience, I think this is something, you know, that is going to be help us in the future.
It's perfect that Akhil is sitting right next to you because you were talking about slow fashion and he's into fast fashion. Akhil, how do you see customer evolve for you?
See, the point is, especially either it be slow fashion or fast fashion. Now you're not. One thing is clear: you're not selling a commodity to a customer now. The customer is only buying a story from you, because probably this blazer will be available with all the retailers across. But then, why the customer connects with your brand? So, when we talk about brand loyalty, there was a very good reference we had in the boardroom last week, that आज का ज़माना क्या हो गया है कि husband और wife भी एक दूसरे के loyal नहीं रहे, because divorce rate is getting higher, especially in the North American markets. तो कहते हैं आप कैसे सोचो कि customer आपका loyal रहेगा? So we have to think, we have to wear another hat, and then how will the brand be loyal to the customer now? It's all about how we are able to have the right chord connected with the customer, and this has become very important. And then, as Mayank mentioned, sustainability is something that is being taught to the Gen Zs and the alphas right from the beginning. They are slightly worried about afforestation and depleting water and this all that. So ये एक बहुत important हो गया है इंडिया में, though we are still far away from actually being sustainable. Carbon footprint, अब हम लोग carbon footprint rating करने की बात करें, agencies ही available नहीं है इंडिया के अंदर to say that what is my carbon footprint today. दो हमने भी अपने annual उसमें memorandum में लिखा है 2030 will be carbon neutral. But then when we went out to find agencies के भी आप हमें rating कर दो, आज वो available नहीं है. But then it is not that ये नहीं होगा. So technically, I mean to say that we have to now sell stories to customer. If your story is viable to the customer, he or she will certainly come back to you as for the product.
Perfect. Dipanjan, the moment of truth for the customer has shifted because of online, and now e-commerce companies actually hold that moment of truth when they go for the delivery of the package. Where do you see you enable that customer experience for Indian consumers?
Sure. So if you look at the overall retail industry today, online commerce or digital commerce today is around 5.56%, and whether we think it this way or that way, it is going to increase. That's the fastest channel that is growing in the overall retail scenario. Online commerce has one thing which is very different than overall retail. The only tangible piece available in the consumer's mind is the guy who comes to deliver. So customer experience, point of customer experience is very important when we go to deliver as a logistics service provider. There are a lot of things that we have seen changing over the last 2-3 years. Pre-COVID to post-COVID is a different world altogether. Digital is no more an option. I would think that all of us agree in this panel that being digital or being omni is no more an option. Customer experience across channels and seamlessness across channels is becoming one of the most important things in the overall retail journey. From an online logistics perspective, we as an organization from day one try to control most of our touch points through our own controls. We do not franchise, etc. There is a lot of customer experience control that you could do through all that. There is a lot of NPS activities that you could do at the time of delivery. We focus on all that, and I think that helps to a lot of brands. That brings repeat, because without repeat, online channel is such a channel which could be your returns plus your overall rejections plus your overall returns could actually be the biggest dent in your overall online journey. So repeat and CX is two of the most important things where we focus on at the time of delivery.
Perfect. Singh sir, we have grown up in an era in which that one suitcase used to last for 50 years. Where do you see things changing on that?
Yeah, we have been known for longevity of our products. People have still in their storage the products made in 1910. And we keep getting those products to be kept in a museum. We have got a Samsonite museum in Belgium where we get customers' products to be kept there with their names and the year of usage and how many travels he made. We've been known for it. And we still continue with those kind of products. You must have seen the advertising of Samsonite whereby you find a road roller crossing over the bag and nothing happens to the bag. But that is one aspect, the one portion of Samsonite. Another is to the most important one. It's not the longevity. The most important one is the solving the customers' teething issues. Like for example, when the bags were made first, they used to be carried on the head or maybe in the hand or maybe the two people to carry one bag because the voyage used to happen generally in the ships and those bags used to be literally very heavy and they used to come with the two side handles and two front handle so that 3 or 4 people can assist to carry a bag. From there you must have seen the wheel must have come on the bag. That was thought by Samsonite because it was found that now you no longer need that size of those size of bags, oversized bags. You need a bag which is meant for you, and carrying in your hand makes it very cumbersome. So put a wheel. That was thought by Samsonite, innovated by Samsonite. Followed by then the bag started to travel vertical because when you wheel the earlier model, you have to bend 45 degree, and that was very inconvenient one. So we came up with another solution, made 2 wheels, and then after we made 4 wheel to make the convenience of travel. Now all this, whatever we keep doing, it keeps us ahead of the competition. You know, the bag is not a rocket science. Anybody can just copy it, put a wheel, put a handle. But when you think of the customer solution far before what they could have got it from the market, keeps you on the lead. Like for example, the America banned the bags to be locked, right? After 9/11. And the Samsonite was the one who initiated to bring the TSA lock. The TSA allowed you to lock your bag and let it pass through the security. The security will have the master key, open, check the content, be assured about the content, and the moment they close it, it comes back to your original number. So
Perfect.
that was thought over by Samsonite. So a lot of new things, the carbon, zero carbon emission material used by Samsonite in Belgium plant. By 2028, we intend to become 100% carbon neutral. So that's how we work with the customer's requirement. We work with the environment. Now we have come up with a model which is made out of these plastic bottles, the recycled bottles. So we are there for the customers actually. And when you are
Perfect.
into innovation, when you keep connecting with the customer through your retail doors, offline, online, irrespective of wherever you want to catch them, you are always there in their minds.
Thank you, Singh Sahab. Shukla ji, as a value retailer, do you think it makes sense? Because experience is basically about brands which are slightly higher up in the value chain. As a value retailer, where price is the biggest conversion point, do you think it still makes sense?
I think absolutely that's the only thing. Why do we exist? And to be very honest, looking at the scenarios, what has happened in last 24 months, I think there is very little left with my customers. So I think now I'll have to do further justice saying that I have to make that BCD India fashionable with that little money what they are left with. And I think that's even bigger responsibility. To be very honest, if we take today's scenario, where we have seen that the fashion is really traveling very fast from probably west to Bombay to Delhi to other places where I operate. Earlier we used to say कि Bombay का fashion, Delhi का fashion, यूपी बिहार पहुंचने में 1.5 साल 2 साल लगते हैं. But I think with all the social media present today, I think we are all at par, and which inspires my customer there saying that we want to wear the similar stuff which probably brands are offering, or the fashionable product which the other retailers are offering in the urban. So probably it becomes our duty to make that BCD India equally fashionable, but obviously keeping that price in mind. So I think it has become tougher at this point of time.
Of course it is. And Hemant, do you want to add a few points to that?
No, good evening, first of all. See, we are into value retail. So customers are very particular about the price, and everyone wants good quality. So what we see over the past few years, that the fashion has changed a lot. Fashion, when we talk about this tier 3 cities and tier 2 cities, fashion is growing fast, coming fast to that cities, as Shukla also told. And the fashion sense has changed. Now we see the little of looser fits are there, where we see the major change in that. The patterns, the customers are more into colors now. So colors are very important. And when we talk about see retail in India is growing fast. We know it's a boom. It's a big market. Uh, Globally, it's a big market. For India, it's a big market. When we see these international brands coming into the Indian markets, but we have to have our own niche. That is what we tend. We know these customers, we know our cities, we know their festivals, we know their different occasional wears. So we tend to suffice to their needs. We tend to see, understand them day by day. We tend to understand them better and better, and we understand कि भी कैसे हम इनको इनकी जरूरत की सामान दे दें. That is where we go deep into it. Yeah.
Sheetal, being from ethnic wear background, your brand stands for very choosy and women who have high expectations now, even from an ethnic wear category. How do you think customer is evolving on that front?
So, hello everyone. This is Sheetal from Shri Kurtis. Basically, हमारे को सब श्री कुर्तीज के नाम से जानते हैं. We are almost 100 stores in North India. Basically North India, and we have expanded in UAE also. 5 stores in Dubai, Sharjah, and Dubai, Abu Dhabi also. So अभी अगर मैं एथनिक वेयर की बात करूं, तो आज के टाइम में एथनिक वेयर वो एथनिक वेयर नहीं रहा. कुर्तीज, कुर्ताज या ट्यूनिक्स जो चलती थी वो एसकेडी में कन्वर्ट हो गया, या कुर्ता बॉटम में कन्वर्ट हो गया, या ड्रेस में कन्वर्ट हो गया. इसको हम अगर कस्टमर एक्सपीरियंस की बात करें, कस्टमर ही वी ऑलवेज से कि भगवान है, तो वी ऑलवेज से आवर कस्टमर इज आवर फ्रेंड. द वे वी ट्रीट आवर फ्रेंड्स इन आवर हाउसेज और इन आवर पार्टीज, वी ट्राई टू treat them in our stores also. उनको कैसे हमारे को वीएम का बताना है, उनको अपने स्टोर का एक्सपीरियंस कैसे बताना है, उनको अपने गारमेंट को कैसे एक्सप्लेन करना है, दैट यूजुअली वी डू, दैट आई यूजुअली डू द मार्केटिंग एंड द सेल्स विद माय टीम. सो ऑलमोस्ट ये जो 100 स्टोर्स है नॉर्थ इंडिया में हमारे, बेसिकली ये फैशन के ऊपर है. बिकॉज नॉर्थ इंडिया का फैशन, जैसे कि सर अभी बोल रहे हैं, थ्रू इंस्टा और थ्रू एफबी ये सब फैशन जा रहे हैं, पर बेसिकली फैशन नॉर्थ इंडिया का ही वेस्ट में जाता है, साउथ में सबसे बाद में जाता है, ईस्ट में उससे भी बाद में जाता है. बिकॉज हम बिहार ट्रैवल करते हैं या बॉम्बे ट्रैवल करते हैं, जितना फैशन हम दिल्ली या पंजाब में देख रहे हैं हम कहीं भी नहीं देख रहे. लेगिंग्स का फैशन इज आउट इन नॉर्थ, बट इट इज बेसिकली बेस्ट सेलर इन साउथ. इतना ज्यादा लेगिंग वहां पर बिकता है, नॉर्थ में बिकता नहीं है. सो व्हाट यूजुअली वी डू, हम लोग फैशन ब्रांड है, पॉकेट फ्रेंडली है. मेजरली श्री ब्रांड इज फॉर, earlier it was a housewife brand, but now professionals, teachers, bankers, college teachers, ये सब श्री बाय करते हैं. This is a pocket friendly. We try कि हम उनको उनके हिसाब से गारमेंट बना के दें. विंटर है तो उनको पश्मीना बना के दें, समर है तो उनको प्योर कॉटन बना के दें, बिकॉज दे आर वर्किंग फॉर 9 hours इन द कॉलेज और द स्कूल और इन द बैंक. तो उनका वो स्किन फ्रेंडली होना चाहिए, उनको स्किन को इच ना करे. वी आर ट्राइंग कि उनके लिए जो बेस्ट गारमेंट, लाइक इंडिया का जो नॉर्थ इंडिया, बेसिकली उसके 4 सीजन आ जाते हैं, हायर गर्मी, हायर सर्दी. उसके लिए हम कस्टमर को क्या प्रोवाइड कर सकें, कस्टमर एक्सपीरियंस क्या दे पाएं, दैट्स वी आर ट्राइंग आवर बेस्ट.
Thank you, Sheetal, for sharing your valuable comments. Now I'm going to do a show of hands with the panel here, and I'm going to put them on the spot. Sorry for that upfront. I want to know from all of you, by show of hands, who amongst you thinks that offline is going to be more important than online in the next decade? Please raise your hand.
Of course, yes.
Offline is going to be more important than online in the next decade.
Everyone, of course, yes.
Okay, great.
Still 95% is offline only, sir. It's
Great.
like just 5.5% is online.
So let's give it to Dipanjan, and I'm sure the majority says that offline is going to be more important than online. The entire VC capital seems to be going into online, and here the panel believes that offline is going to be more important. Let's hear the reasons, but we'll start with Dipanjan, who has taken a lot of VC funding, by the way, and let's hear his justification first.
Okay, first of all, for the group, we are a logistics company who only does B2C logistics. Okay, so it's a trick question. Hence, I said that should I say offline will be more important than online, or should I say that both has to grow seamlessly together? I would choose the second statement. See, from a retail perspective, how do I think about this? From a retail perspective, India is still at a very, very early stage. If you think about the overall retail market, 800 billion का market है, उसमें से 12% organized or semi-organized है, 6% is online retail. I think first of all, there is ample scope for both formats to grow together. With the changing demographics, if you look at the Indian demographics today, the way the overall buyer segment is typically shaping up, you can't ignore digital. When I say you can't ignore digital, will it become like 100% online or 100% offline? It will never become like that. I think we are at a 6% online penetration today. There are certain categories who are upwards of 30%, 50%. There are certain categories who are less than 5% as well. And there is a penetration in every geography, right? With evolving times, we will see certain categories taking a larger share in online and certain categories just going and becoming stagnant there. And us segment mein bhi, if you slice and dice the market segments, you will find a lot of difference in terms of the penetration. I can tell you what we have seen, and I was giving that example. Pre-COVID, our overall penetration was around 3.5% of overall retail. Today, it's around 6%. The expectation, and if you refer to all the reports and the way it is growing, typically at a 30-40% online channel growth, it should reach around 11-12% by 26. Further to that, my personal belief is it will only grow at 20-25% for the next 5 years. It will settle somewhere around a 20-21% by 2030-31 is what I feel. It will never be 100% online. India is not a market for 100% online penetration. At least हमारी जिंदगी में तो नहीं होगा. उसके बाद क्या होगा? सुनामी आया कि क्या है? पता नहीं. Now, what do we all have to do is more important. I think I deeply feel that today, though we have a lot of it on paper, but online retail and offline retail have to go hand in hand. I think there has to be a seamless with less opacity in terms of models where you can buy from anywhere, return anywhere, buy online, discover online and buy offline, discover online at somebody else's store, but buy in your store. What is important for retailers, and I'm not an expert in this panel, I'm not a retailer first of all, but I feel what is most important is to be on top of data, to understand that somebody who is discovering me on online should buy me on offline. It should not discover something on Samsonite and buy from a VIP, is what we need to ensure. And uske liye, with time, I think data and tech will become increasingly important. Increasingly important. What you show, to whom you show, at what time you show, what do you catalog, what do you not catalog, how do you get that guy if he's dropping off from an online channel to your offline store. All this will be the most important things. I think after 5 or 7 years, and I'm talking about a specific category of people, if you look at the people, India has the largest mass of middle class, the largest mass of middle-aged people, the largest mass of people who have disposable income. That's only growing. If you basically have to target that guy as your personality of a buyer, you cannot target that guy कि ये offline ही खरीदेगा कि offline online खरीदेगा. You have to target कि ये मेरे brand से कैसे खरीदेगा. Where is he based? How does he come to my store if I have a store? If I don't have a store, how do I still make him buy from me? Is something that we have to crack. Is what I feel. Looking at this industry across brands, but not being a retail brand myself, I can basically say that, because online has a different challenge. It has a repeat challenge. If your cost of acquisition is so high, if you actually do not ensure X number of repeats, it's a lost deal. So that's my point of view.
Yes, Dipanjan. So essentially you're talking about the much abused word omni-channel coming into play, and listening to the consumer, irrespective of where the channel is, we have to target the consumer and get him on board for our brand. So we have to be ready as a retailer.
I feel omni is still on paper. The real omni hasn't yet arrived. Yeah. Omni is still on paper. We are talking about it. Management books talks about it. We talk it in our boardrooms. Especially you guys can. But the real omni will take time to evolve. The real omni will be through ecosystem partnerships with a lot of logistics players. How do I serve within the set timelines that he expects from a store, etc.,
Yes.
etc., etc.
Yes, Dipanjan. So largely, broadly, everybody believed that offline is going to be the main play because of the size of the business of online being so small. India being at a very early stage of online still. I think the first Yebi.com came some 15 years back, and yet we are still at its infancy. Is there anybody who believes that online is going to be the way forward? Like we are going to convert ourselves into D2C. Is there anybody here on the panel?
Not exactly, or not exactly, but what's
Yeah, Akhil.
happening, the transformation is happening. What happened in 2020, 2021, for example, a company like ours, if we would have targeted the digital transformation to 2025, for example, that rapid digital transformation happened during that time. And usse benefit kya hua hai that now we are, what we say, we are getting future ready for anything that's happening. It can be C for COVID, it can be C for competition. So when we talk about, see, otherwise we were dependent on online marketplaces prior to 2020. And once the pandemic hit and everybody thought that, okay, now how to do business? So the brand.coms evolved. When brand.coms evolved, because you want to give the same customer experience on the store, on your brand.com. So obviously this omni concept also came in, because the customer is again the same customer who wants to buy from a retail store or from your own .com. So this will stay. I mean, when we look at personally, when we look at the North American market, which is supposed to be the most saturated or the most ripest market, and all the technology, all the concepts flow down from North America to Europe, Europe to Southeast Asia, for example.
Right, Akhil, I'll just intervene and you can continue definitely after that. I'll put them again on the spot. While Akhil speaks, I want each one of you to think about one mega trend for the next 5 to 10 years. And I'll note it down and then we'll see which is the biggest mega trend, which the majority believes. So please use the time for thinking. Akhil, please continue.
Yeah. So as I was saying, so brand.coms, what we see by 2025, if we actually are able to do a decent digital transformation across organizations, connecting our warehouses, our dark stores, our retail stores, and our brand.coms in a very seamless manner, we foresee by 2025 it should be anywhere to the tune of 30% business coming from click and collect or the endless aisle or the true omnichannel system. Marketplaces will keep evolving, because marketplaces now have become another vertical of business. Like a brand might be working as a retail store, with a large format retailer, or as with multi-brand outlets. So marketplaces also become another distribution channel, while they were being thought as a threat before. Now, for example, a company like me, because of price parity, we plan special merchandise for the online retailers, so that the customer doesn't get confused that why a product is being offered at your retail store for this price and why the same product is there, because I can control my pricing on them, but I cannot control their coupons. So that's why the omni-channel brand.com things will be there to stay, because the brand identity has to stay.
But for the panel, food for thought. The topic of today's discussion is from Digi-First to evolving trends. And most of the Digi-First happens in the online space. Yet, almost each one of you believes that offline is going to be the major business. Why this dichotomy?
Okay, if I can just answer it.
Please,
our business, for example, we're primarily into celebration wear. So there's no substitute of touching and feeling the garment. So the customer experience in our stores, our entire training, more than boosting the sale, our whole entire focus is customer experience. So I think what will happen, like in our business, for example, I think, we expect, almost 90% of a business to keep coming from offline retail even in the next 5 years. Though what is going to change is, what customers expect when they actually visit the store. So if you look at Amazon, for example, or any of the online marketplaces, we actually took a step back and say, why do people go? Price is obviously one aspect of it. We are not a discounting model, so price will not make a difference for us either way. The second is basically convenience of shopping and the ease of actually searching for something, and ease of and the actual variety of products that you will be able to find. So what we are very close to launching an app. We took a step back. We are actually very close to launching an app, so you can actually come to our stores. And our stores vary from, let's say, a 400 square feet store to a 4,000 square feet store. So you can come to a store and you can say, if you're looking for like a cream sherwani in, say, size 50. So, my 400 square feet store may not even have one piece in that big size. My flagship stores might have 2 or 3 pieces to show. So the app we are about to launch, is basically, we're going to train our salespeople to actually, first show the options that they are available offline, and also then show them all the options that we might have of that particular requirement online in our warehouses or in our other stores using that app or the phone. So the whole idea is to, have a hybrid model and to give that experience. The majority of the purchasing will happen offline because they can feel the product. Then that product can either be sold online through using that app, or that product can be made available inside that store that customer can come and try. So that is what we're expecting the future to be.
Sure. Thank you, Mayank ji.
Yeah,
Yes,
just wanted to-
definitely. Sheetal and Rochita and Shukla ji. Size is not a problem for retailers like you, Rochita, and for you, Shukla ji.
Should I let me
Yeah, please.
go
Sheetal.
like just complete
Please, please.
your Digi to offline?
Sure.
So we started Shree as a e-commerce brand only. That is where Shree is today. So we started with like fashion in you, 99 labels, then the websites you must have not heard of. So ebay.com, amazon.com. We started with US, UK, Australia, Singapore with ebay.com. So that experience told us what e-commerce customer wants. So after that, Myntra, Jabong, then this
Flipkart,
Amazon, Flipkart,
Nykaa,
yeah, Flipkart,
and so
yeah,
on.
Nykaa,
Yeah.
Flipkart, right? So we started 2009 till 2015, 16, 17. We were a e-commerce, not a brand. It was a label. The customers, they never thought that this Shree can be a brand ever, because जो भी e-commerce में brands हैं वो labels ही रह जाते हैं. जब तक उसमें discount नहीं आता customer खरीदता नहीं है. The moment their EOS is launched, they sell thousands, lakhs of pieces. The moment you launch a store, only then you become a brand, because there's a customer experience, there's a VN, there's a store guy who respects. And the last thing is, एक जो भी हमारा customer है, like a mother, anyone, they wanted to go out. घर पे कब तक बैठे रहेंगे, online shopping करेंगे? They want to go a food court, they want to go a movie, and they want to shop also. So this is what we have experienced with e-commerce and with retail stores. That is like my experience.
Sheetal, my question also is to the panel. Is there anybody who's planning a store in the metaverse?
In the
Metaverse? You are? Can you please speak about that?
So again,
A store in the metaverse, guys.
So being the disposition of the brand that we are, and with the kind of consumer that we talk about, and when I'm talking about alphas and Gen Z, where millennials have become the secondary customers for me, and my Gen Z is the primary customer, and alphas will be the next customer. So it's more of marketing as of now than actual business happening, because it is still in a very nascent stage of this thing. A lot of brands, like a brand I follow called Starbucks, which have already launched their loyalty program in metaverse called Odyssey, and we're already in talk with 2 companies. We've already done the prototyping where you can experience the complete Madame store. You can pick up the garments, you can drop the garments. Yes, the touch and feel is not there, but otherwise you can always look, and you can even kind of communicate with the sales consultant over there, all through digitally.
Great, Akhil ji. Please.
So, obviously, there is no clear-cut answer saying that when will the offline retail become 100% online. But what I personally feel, obviously, I am multiple times private equity invested. I come across this question from that side saying that how is this online going to disrupt your space? To be very precise, I always have this answer where I say, notebandi hui thi, all of a sudden the digital or the plastic money went to, I think, 80-85% in my stores. And ideally it was 10-12%, and we are back to, in spite of the Paytm and the Bharat Pays of the world, we are around 15% inclusive everything. So believe me, there is a trend which is going to happen where we say that everyone wants to try out the .com this thing, but talking precisely about my space and gentlemen sitting next to, we compete in the same space, not compete, we are friendly in the same space, sorry. So I think the biggest change, what is going to happen, we are there in a country where 40% of the country's population, which is twice or 1.5 times the size of in US, does not even afford one pair of new clothes. And I'm sure most of us does not knows that. So there is a long way to go. And basically where we come from, we do tier 2, 3 and 4 tier retailing, where I think people are actually scared of going to an air conditioned showroom also. We run close to 8-10,000 square feet, 3-story, full of lights. Probably we'll have to advertise all our price points saying that we start from 79, 99. So this country has a long way to go. पहले तो हम उनको विश्वास दिला रहे हैं कि हम आपके लिए हैं. Like, so this omni option, yes, I totally agree. 5-7 years, 10 years down the line, obviously yes. The proposition will saying, I agree to what Dipanjan just said, saying that worst case it can reach up to 20, 25, 30%. But I don't know, it could be the other way around, the way it happened for the digital money post the demonetization, right? And believe me, in the country where we are approximately 1.4 billion people, and the trend says a customer to retail visitors averagely 2.5 to 3 times, am I right? I don't find each of us don't have that much time even, and especially in tier 2, 3, 4, where I think everybody is actually sitting idle, to be very honest. For them, it is not shopping garment. It is basically an experience. I operate in places where I'm the only mall who is air conditioned. So the only option for recreation for them is to going out in the evening. I mean, so obviously that there could be two sides of stories. The place where I operate in, I'm the only air conditioned store. So I think all other digitalization, omni-channel is a distant story. I don't say no to anything. Obviously, with my ASP, average selling price of an apparel is just 300 rupees. Can I actually afford, online delivery CODs? The answer is no.
Thanks, Shukla.
Yeah, I'll agree to what JP said. Okay, see, we being value retail and we are catering to these little smaller cities and the rural towns. So customer experience is very important, and what we give them, the mall culture that we see in these smaller cities, that customers actually that aspire for. And it's not that we being value, we know the expenses of online logistics and return policies, and if we have the marketplace and everything. तो हमने अभी पीछे सोचा कि ऑनलाइन जाएं next year. So what we end up saying कि भी for going online we have to increase the MRPs. So we have to increase the same MRP. We are not going to sell the same product at 150. We have to minimum sell it at 175. So that is not going to be so practical in India, where we understand that we know the income group, we know everything. See, definitely brands will go. Brands have their space in this online market, but being value and being seen as country and the economy, I think offline definitely will have a bigger space going ahead.
Sure.
As well.
Thanks, Hemant. Okay, Rochita, please.
Yeah. Can I just clarify when you asked the statement if offline is going to be more important than online, and I raised my hand with hesitation, it's because this is relevant to me, and it happens to be that majority of the panel also agrees that's specific to their business. Having
Yes.
said that, it's not to say that online is not going to be a formidable force in the future. Mr. Banerjee has done phenomenal job for us to grow our digital business. The future of retail is blended. No customer today, at least an average customer, nobody is exclusively buying online or exclusively buying offline. So every organization will have to find a balance between both.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
Point well noted, Rochita. There is one retailer who's going into metaverse. There's another retailer who's saying that air conditioning itself is a big thing for their consumers. So there has to be a horses for courses strategy. There is no one size fits all. That's appreciated. Thanks for bringing that up. Coming back to the original question, one mega trend, and I'll leave it open for each one of you to explain as to why you believe that mega trend is going to be the thing for the next decade. But one mega trend from each one of you for the next decade, which you think is going to change the shape of retail in India. Starting with you, Rochita.
I think a trend that has already picked up and it's going to continue is the need for sustainability in our consumption. I think Mr. Mohan also touched upon that. So going forward, I think this is something that is here to stay. Or
Fair.
at the same time, because the sustainability is in such high demand, there's also going to be greenwashing done by organizations. But this is what I personally think.
Mayank ji.
So I think one more sustainability, obviously one we touched on, but another trend would be this shift in consumption from the big metros to the tier 2 and tier 3 towns. So we have started in our own business now. About 55% of our stores are in non in tier 2 and tier 3, giving roughly about 45% of our business currently. But the trends that we are seeing, my highest, for example, my most expensive tuxedos are not sold in Delhi; they're sold in Jammu. My most expensive sherwanis are not sold in, so many in Delhi, they're sold in Lucknow, for example. So that trend is there, especially post-COVID. That is one of the biggest things. The tier 1 revenues really bottomed out for us. Tier 2 revenues by and large stood where they were. So that actually helped us to keep, survive COVID, and actually help, more than double the store count after COVID and the tier 2 and tier 3 largely contributed to it.
Thank you. Thank you. Akhil ji.
A lot of customized marketing, I would say, because the kind of transactions we are able to capture, I mean, talking about next 1 decade and the way digital thing is happening, and we are able to have a lot of consumer data, consumer insights in the system. So I would say that, customized selling would be something really big on the trend. And wherein if I am thinking of something and I see it on my tablet or my phone, or probably maybe another kind of, for example, there's a store in Dubai called sixstreet.com, which is again a fashion retailer, but he has only put screens on the store and all the merchandise is at the back store. So that's one very good example of what we think the future trend is going to be.
Thank you. Dipanjan.
I think two broad points. Agree with Mr. Mohan. I think the largest amount of growth is going to come from tier 3 and tier 4. I think the amount of growth that those two areas are basically poised at, that's unprecedented. We have seen some of it in the last 2-3 years. And the kind of, in some pockets for some products, the kind of purchasing power we have is, so sometimes it's discovery. Second is food for thought, and that's my personal belief. If online has to be the way it is, and if low ASP products also have to prosper, home delivery has to be a decoupled VAS. When I say it has to be a decoupled VAS, somebody has to realize we all have the responsibility to make the consignee, or let's say the buyer, realize that there's a price that you can pick it up from the store and there's a price that you have to pay for the home delivery. Till we are all spoiled. We have all spoiled the industry at the time of growth, and it happens with every fast growing industry. The market grew on COD, which has its inert problems of returns. Yeah. We made the buyers get okay with free deliveries. And now we want those products to make money. The same thing happened, if you look at quick commerce today, the same thing is happening there. As soon as you pull off the plug from discounting and free home delivery, the market will go through a correction. So I think one mega trend is, and I don't know whether it will be true or false, but home delivery charges has to be decoupled and charged, and somebody has to pay for it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Singh sir.
Yeah. So I raised my hand for the offline to be still continuing with its force for two reasons. One is, for my category, it could be more relevant too. Yeah. The most important factor in our product is to touch, feel, and experience the width, depth of the product, which cannot be felt through the online. Yeah. So therefore, I continue to support that the offline will still work for me, because I have those numbers to prove. Even in today's day, one wall store in Mumbai airport does 60 lakh rupees of a business from maybe 300 square feet.
Wow.
Mall of India does. Yeah. So I still continue to support that offline will continue to surge ahead, but not minimizing the importance of online. Definitely those brands and the product which are price sensitive, they will continue to grow online, and we will also have the brands from our company to be really promoted very well on the online, because the market is actually growing at a much faster scale at town B and C. That cannot be tapped through Samsonite. So both are going to coexist, online and offline.
So you are saying tier 3 and tier 4 is going to be the mega trend of the next
future.
decade?
Of course, of course.
Great. Let's hear it from Shukla ji.
Talking about mega trend, I think I'm already there in tier 3 and 4, so I know what that market is all about. But what I personally feel the biggest shift, what is going to happen in the retail ecosystem, is that the communication to the customer will change. I mean, so the way we communicate to the customer is going to be highly digitalized. I think that is where I would love to use the digitalization of today's world. So, like, I think the conventional old method of putting up a hoarding, getting into kiosks, or probably distributing a pamphlet, getting into paper ads. I think these are the things which will be stories of past in another, 2 to 5 years, or maybe maximum 5 years to come. So I think each of us has to figure out that how do we communicate clearly with our customers, and obviously it has to be very cost effective. It has to be, like, to the point. I think which today's e-commerce is doing very very well. They know, okay, what are you searching to, immediately those advertisement or probably relevant categories pops up in front of you. I think that is something which each of us has to learn. There's going to be a severe change, in coming years. That's what I believe.
Thank you. Hemant?
Yeah. Couple of things what we observe when see we are into majorly with apparels. So we have been seeing a major shift. There are two type of main fabrics. One is woven, one is knits. So there is a shift in from woven to knits that's going on. So we see a basic major change going ahead as well. When we talk about apparel, that it will be going towards more of knits. And for me, see, customer experience, I think that will definitely change in coming time. Customer, uh, we have to go more, we have to be little tech friendly in terms of store experience also. And that will definitely, what I see, it will be seen in India. What we don't see so much, that it's a tech-driven customer experience while checking out or while browsing on something. So those things, I think so, will come up in the coming years.
Sheetal, word from you.
So what I think, स्मार्टफोन्स ने लाइफ को काफी चेंज किया सबकी थ्रू स्मार्टफोन्स. इफ आई से एक देयर इज अ गर्ल फ्रॉम अ टियर 3 or tier 4, but she's very educated. She's a CA or a tech or a marketing head, because I know uh, today's girl, she wants to study more and more. She doesn't want to get married at the age of 20. What I got married at the age of 20. So 28, 29, 30 की एज में ही लड़कियां आज की शादी करना चाह रही हैं. और वो इतनी स्मार्ट हो गई हैं, वो कोई भी लेबल नहीं पहनना चाहती. दे वांटेड टू वेयर अ ब्रांड. आज टियर 3 में हमारे स्टोर्स हैं, टियर 4 में हमारे स्टोर्स हैं. वहां पर मैं ये देखती हूँ, अ गर्ल कम्स विद अ इंग्लिश स्पीकिंग. मेरी वहां पर जो सेल्स गर्ल है वो पंजाबी में बात कर रही है, पर जो कस्टमर आ रहा है वो इंग्लिश में बात कर रही है. दैट्स अ भयंकर चेंज वी हैव सीन इन आवर स्टोर्स, लाइक अ नवा शहर. We opened that store 2016. उस स्टोर के कस्टमर्स आज फॉरेन में पढ़ रहे हैं, उनके बच्चे आज फॉरेन में पढ़ रहे हैं. दैट रोड इज कॉल्ड NRI रोड. सो मैं जो मेजर ट्रेंड फ्रॉम टियर 3 टियर 4 से देख रही हूँ, स्पेशली लड़कियों में, वो लेबल्स नहीं पहनना चाहती और उनको 10 गारमेंट नहीं खरीदने, उनको डिस्काउंट में नहीं खरीदना, उनको फ्रेश MRPs खरीदनी है, बट उनको अच्छी क्वालिटी खरीदनी है, उनको अच्छा प्राइस पॉइंट खरीदना है, और उनको कस्टमर एक्सपीरियंस अच्छा चाहिए, सो दैट दे कैन फील कि वो दिल्ली में या बॉम्बे में शॉपिंग नहीं कर रहे, वो नवा शहर में कर रहे हैं, या बठिंडा में कर रहे हैं, या सिरसा में कर रहे हैं. सो हमारे टियर 3 टियर 4 में इतने स्टोर्स हैं. हम जब खुद मैं विजिट करती हूँ, एंड यूजुअली व्हेन आई सी कस्टमर्स, आई एम सरप्राइज्ड टू सी दिल्ली से ज्यादा स्मार्ट है वो लड़कियां, बिकॉज दे ऑल आर हाईली एजुकेटेड. दे आर MBAs, किसी कंपनी में CEO है, किसी, मतलब आई कांट एक्सप्लेन वो लड़कियां कितनी आगे पहुंच चुकी हैं. दिस इज द मेजर ट्रेंड जो हम दिल्ली बॉम्बे में देखते थे. आई एम ऑल्सो फ्रॉम अमृतसर, गॉट मैरिड इन दिल्ली, और हमारे को दिल्ली आने का शौक होता था. जब हम अमृतसर से दिल्ली आते थे, अरे वाह दिल्ली जा रहे हैं, कनॉट प्लेस घूमेंगे. आज कोई चाम ही नहीं है. आज अमृतसर दिल्ली से भी ज्यादा प्रोग्रेस कर गया. सो छोटे शहर और बड़े शहर में आज कोई फर्क नहीं रहा. ये ट्रेंड इज थ्रू, आई एम श्योर, स्मार्टफोन्स में आज के बच्चे बहुत ही कुछ देख रहे हैं, और उसके अलावा दे नो दिल्ली में क्या है, बॉम्बे में क्या और पंजाब में क्या नहीं है. दिस इज, मेरे हिसाब से दिस इज अ मेजरली ट्रेंड जो मैं चेंजेस देख रही हूँ.
Thanks, Sheetal. So largely, what I've observed from the panel is that the aspirations and the needs of the tier 3 and the tier 4 consumer are there, are relevant, and brands are striving to reach that last mile, so to say. It's a e-com word, but even from an offline perspective, reaching that last mile of the consumer, opening that store in that tier 3 or tier 4 city seems to be as important, even in the world of Digi-First. Uh, I want to ask the panel one question related to how you have adapted to these trends. All of your businesses have been in existence for multiple years. There would have been a time, like in my previous company, when e-commerce started, we were able to liquidate a lot of old merchandise by putting them on discounts. We survived a good 2 to 3 years thanks to that. We hashed on to that trend that e-commerce has started. Consumers are looking for discounts. Let's marry the two. We had merchandise, a lot of old merchandise. How did you in your companies previously adapted to a particular trend and hashed on to it and prospered? Any it's open for all. Any particular trend, digi first trend or any particular trend?
Not Digi-First trend, but the pandemic really tested our agility. And just to stay relevant, we had to carry out a lot of strategic pivots. We started hosting pop-up stores in apartment complexes. We started reaching out for same-day delivery service within a certain radius from the stores. Our manufacturing units were underutilized because the demand for occasion wear footwear had gone down drastically. So we started making 3-ply masks there, and so on and so forth. And not necessarily was every project profitable. Would have probably made more money or saved more money if we shut shop. But two of the things that really helped us was, one, because we were one of the very few or one of the very first to offer convenience, our customers were recommending them like our services to their peers. So new customer acquisition became easy. Also, at a time where the industry was conducting mass layoffs, we had work for 100% of our employees and we did not lay off a single employee. So I think like sometimes when you're adapting to trends, you may not see like immediate payoff in the financials in the short run, but I think we call it organizational ambidexterity. And when you exercise that in the long run, you may see that there are some implicit benefits, because if you're not adaptable, you may be doing everything right today and your business is successful, but you may be doing that for the next 500 years, but like if you're doing the same thing, you may not change and the industry will change and you become obsolete. So it's very important to exercise agility from time to time.
Of course, Rochita, and the employee engagement which you created during the pandemic, I'm sure the mega trend of mass resignation at least would have not touched Sreeleathers is what I'm hoping. But any other words from anyone else in terms of what you have done in the past few years?
So one trend that we saw post-COVID, which was very positive for us, was that our premium sherwanis started selling much more than before. So but what happened during COVID was the size of the weddings say went from 1,000 to 100. Sometimes the people got married in the living rooms itself, but the budget did not shrink. That budget was spent on apparel and on gifting and other things. So we saw, our average selling price of a sherwani has actually gone up by more than 25%. Taking on that trend, what we started doing was we now have VIP rooms in our flagship showrooms. That is only accessible by appointment. We keep our exclusive premium collection there, and that has helped us to overall increase the number of high value bills and our average selling price overall. So the trend to premium has really worked well for us.
There's
and
a
we
saying.
really cashed in on it.
Thanks, Mayank. There's a saying in the pandemic that the rich got richer and the poor got poorer, and probably just saying. I mean,
Latching on to what she just said, being a manufacturer ourselves, so the prima facie thing was not let the labor particularly go back to their hometowns, because once they go back to their hometowns, as we all understand, because supply chain game, so getting them back, especially during the times of pandemic where everything was uncertain. Now we understand what pandemic is, but it was very uncertain, and because they were there, they had to be fed. I mean, till, for example, the first 2 months, OPE, we were providing food for them, but at a given time, there had to be, remuneration against what was being done. So we latched on to category of comfort wear, and we started producing night suit in the factories, which was again became a very big category for us. And today, after 2 years, we have a separate distribution vertical for that particular category.
Sorry, which one? Masks?
No, loungewear.
Loungewear. Okay.
Night suits.
Yeah, of course.
In the same category. It became so important that today we have a different vertical altogether for that.
Yeah. Anyone else?
I think the question was around where did you pivot looking at the trends? Right?
Yes.
I think early in our journey,
Not just during pandemic, but previously as well.
I heard answers about pandemic, so I was thinking, did I miss something? So primarily two very important things. Early in our journey, around 2016-17, we realized that, and I keep saying this, tier 3, tier 4 is very, very important when you look at certain categories. And we thought of expanding to a state of every pin code, right? We said that there are so many logistics companies around this country, but every logistics company says that I deliver to 5,000 postal codes, 7,000, 10,000. We said that if we cover a state, we will cover every pin code in that state. So today we are around 27,000 postal codes, 3,500 offices delivering to every pin code in India. That's something that we pivoted. We are very happy, and the decision to pivot was on a gut. When we look at the numbers, when we look back at the numbers, some of these states actually threw back a 5x revenue after 5 months of opening, which was a great thing to happen. It just, we just kept on doing it, and today 20 out of 29 states are fully covered. Second is during the pandemic, and taking one example from there, I think everything was shut, right? And we all went through that phase where we did not, for a day or two, did not know what to do. We had the fixed cost plus semi-variable plus variable cost to deal with. Not that anything that you did at that point of time could cover all your costs, but we realized that this is the pivoting moment for e-grocery, which is home delivery of grocery. We did not have a focus on grocery as a segment. Overnight, within 3 days, we signed 16 contracts with the who's and who that you can think of who does grocery today. Today, grocery, including home delivery and warehousing, is 4.5% of the overall business. It came out as one of the verticals that we serve very proudly today, and evolved into one of the leaders in that segment. I think these primary two things I can remember of.
Thank you. Thanks, Dipanjan. Sure.
Regards to the problem of the obsolescence, the fact remains that we don't have that problem in our company. We don't have anything called obsolescence. We just simply have product made, displayed, and sells it off. The only time what we create some kind of a buzz among the customer is the end of season, and whatever colors we try it out as a trend, the new trend, that also gets wiped off from the shelf the moment we announce the end of season. Maybe people wait for that moment.
You. Wish you continue doing the same. And wish we could learn from that.
You wish us also.
So I think the biggest shift what my business personally has seen is that I think the formal category has been on a steep downturn. I think largely because I think people were working from home, as Hemant rightly said that the hosiery, the knits business is basically catching up. So I think that's one big shift which we have seen, that the formal business is at a downward trend.
Thank you. Hemant, any word from you?
Yeah. See, couple of things. One, when we talk about inventory, so inventory definitely, we have not been seen a major shift in fashion over the couple of years that has been. So inventory has not changed completely. Inventory has not, when it is not changing completely, then very less inventory is there which we can say that it is not sellable inventory. We definitely go for USS and everything, and what we have been seeing, that percentage of inventory that is maybe we can say a year old or 2 years old, that has been dropping year on year. And see, we have been working more and more with customer retention programs through our CRM services. That is the major thing that we have been doing now, and I think that is much required.
Sheetal?
What I have seen is कस्टमर बहुत सीरियस हो गया. आज का कस्टमर सीरियस बायर हो गया, विंडो शॉपर नहीं रहा. उसके पास इतना टाइम भी नहीं है वो आए देखे और बोले मैं कल दोबारा आऊंगा. अगर उसको लेना है स्टोर में तो वो आके लेके जाता है. Earlier what it used to be, हम मतलब इट्स नॉट श्री स्टोर्स, एवरी ब्रांड जब भी उसके स्टोर में एज अ कंज्यूमर मैं जाती थी तो लगता था सारा उसका स्टॉक ऊपर गिर रहा है, हमेशा भरा रहता था। और कस्टमर की जैसे आदत है और दिखाओ और दिखाओ, अभी वो वाला ट्रेंड खत्म हो चुका है। उसको जो चाहिए शी और ही पिक एंड चूज एंड बाय इट, दैट्स ऑल। अभी कस्टमर जो घंटों लगाता था स्टोर पे 25 30 40 उसको नंबर ऑफ स्टाइल्स देखने, अभी 10-15 मिनट में कस्टमर कम्स बायज एंड गो। दैट्स व्हाट आई हैव सीन इन लास्ट 2-3 years आफ्टर कोविड स्पेशली। उसकी बाइंग 8-10 गारमेंट की नहीं रही, शी और ही विल कम बाय फॉर 2-3-10 नहीं खरीदना, बट अच्छा खरीदना है, अच्छा प्राइस पॉइंट खरीदना और क्वालिटी खरीदनी। दैट इज व्हाट आई हैव सीन आफ्टर दिस कोविड।
Thank you, panel. Now I'll open up the field for anybody who has any questions. Here we have a panel who has, yeah, please. Only request is please be loud so that everybody is able to hear your questions without a mic. Yeah. So the question is, he's saying that is the offline business funding online, or is it the other way around, or both are profitable? How is it?
Online business is not profitable at all. Who says? You say.
Allow me to rephrase, ma'am.
The question is that.
Allow me to rephrase, sir. The question is that you mentioned that we have sustained certain habits from the past when we have been passing discounts to get the sales in online business.
Yeah.
Now, inherently, the online business is dependent upon either the funding or the offline business to improve. Now, from evolution of trend point of view, do you think this trend to continue when, or we are seeing the day wherein online business are going to be profitable in the future? So what is your expectation? Some words, some wisdom on that.
So the trend, he's saying the online business, the fundamental assumption is that the online business is not profitable. The offline business is probably funding the online business. When would discounts end? When would online business become self-sustaining? When would offline business stop funding the online business? We got the question right? Yeah.
So there would be varied views across this entire panel, but the way online business has grown, and online business typically in India started around 2006-07, it then started catapulting. It was funded by a lot of PE, private equity venture capitalists, who wanted to grow very fast. The overall ecosystem grew on a base of valuation. Without getting into details, there are certain hygiene that you basically create while a channel grows. My personal opinion is a lot of them have been compromised. I met a founder last year who used to do a very large business, and then the business came down. And he told me one cardinal mistake that I have done through my growth journey is, जो जियो को काम करना चाहिए था वो मैंने किया है. To get the customer starting to look at videos, to look at influencers, to get him to even buy a mobile is not somebody who is selling a shirt his job, right? I think now the stage is set where your consumers are already aware of, like she said today, one of the reasons why they come aware to a store is because the discovery having something somewhere else. वो already discover करके store में जा रहा है कि मुझे क्या खरीदना है. Samsonite में भी लोग दुकान पे अगर touch and feel लेने जाते हैं, because they have better offers in online, नहीं खरीदना है, online का पुराना stock होगा, फट जाएगा, ये सब सोच के उसमें जाते हैं. So I think the basic hygiene was missed out. I think the industry will go through a correction. It can't grow in the same way. The industry will go through a correction. It might, like pre-COVID 3.5, people started buying online, went to around 6%. It might have a correction and then grow again with the right basics is in my view. Two biggest reasons why online looks like an unprofitable channel is the cost of acquisition is very high and you have no guaranteed sales. Online COD is 85% of the market even today. Yeah. So basically, आप जो sale करते हो वो sale नहीं करते हो, वो जाके doorstep में sale होता है. Still the guy pays you money, it's not a sale, right? So typically there is a huge journey between what gets returned, why it gets returned, and how do I stop it. So I'll give you one example. We as an organization are trying to work something which is called a address one or a RTO predictor. At the time of manifest, and we have been working and for the last 10 years, right? We have some amount of data behavior that we can track for at least 110 crore consignees. At one, there could be repeats in that as well. But we exactly know that at the time of manifest, who will return and who will accept a shipment. To a 70 to 80% accuracy. It can't be as accurate. But I think these kind of things will only keep on increasing in the industry. There will be a point where returns has to go down.
Yes.
The industry can't operate at a 20% return plus a 10%. Uske baad acha nahi laga, size fit nahi hua.
Yeah.
There will be models which will evolve, which will allow you to exchange a product immediately after trying and buying. So those things have to come, but all this comes at a cost.
Thanks.
So, and hence I said that somebody has to pay for it.
Thanks. So largely for the brands, the e-commerce channel has served a purpose, whether it is market reach, wallet share, liquidating old merchandise to fund cash. There's a cash blocked in the merchandise, right? Profitability also for some probably. But the channel has served a purpose. If you are not there, some other brand will definitely do that. And the brands have evolved from liquidating their current merchandise to moving to liquidating their old merchandise to specially creating SMUs for the online channel. The brands are also learning, and so are the e-commerce players. We'll take one last question. Yes, please.
So I am Prateek. So into this retail industry, we observe that, for example, this is more related to people who are also into manufacturing. Now, few of the people over here are only into retail. They buy things and then they just sell to the customers. But for example, there are also other people for manufacturing is a separate vertical. They are into retail as well. But with the introduction of e-commerce as well, that has also become a separate vertical as such. So how do people involved in manufacturing as well as retail, now they have to concentrate more on e-commerce as well? How do you leverage between these things? How come your strategies are different? How do you leverage between the time you spend on this, the time you spend on that, and now you will have to consider e-commerce as well? So how do you leverage between these things? Manufacturing, retail, and e-commerce. You didn't understand?
Can you repeat your question, please,
No,
quickly?
I got his question.
Akhil, please.
One answer is you have to get separate vertical heads. You're
Yeah, experts, right?
Yeah, one person cannot wear all the hats because how offline operates and how online operates and how manufacturing operates is very different. For example, as a company like mine and probably like hers, so we evolved from a manufacturer to a retailer and now to a marketer. So we call ourselves marketing company. We don't call ourselves just a manufacturer or retailer now.
And see, that evolution has not happened overnight. That evolution has happened over years.
Over 30, 40, 50
And
years maybe, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, so it takes time, it takes experts. One person cannot be an expert in all the things, but there are people who know e-commerce, who know sourcing, and who know a lot of things. So that is how it operates.
Different verticals, actually.
It takes years. We are also into manufacturing. Then now offline stores, we did online also. But of course, we are a manufacturing company.
Yes, my question is more into how do you shift your focus exactly, as in now you say this is the trend of e-commerce. Now you will have to shift more into e-commerce, but we should not leave out on manufacturing and retail as well.
Yeah. So we'll take your question post the session. It'll be good, I
Sure.
think.
Yes,
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I think that would be great. Thank you very much. I'm really hopeful that after today's discussion, there would be at least one thing which you are taking away from the entire panel discussion. I definitely am. I want to thank the entire panel for taking out time and sharing your valuable inputs. Really hoping that this panel discussion was at least a little bit different and you would be able to implement at least one thing in your own businesses. Thank you very much. Thank you all.